1997 was a monumental year in gaming. The original PlayStation was redefining what home consoles could do, with groundbreaking 3D experiences like Gran Turismo, Final Fantasy VII, and Tekken 3. The Nintendo 64 was hitting its stride, with Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye 007, and Star Fox 64, while the Sega Saturn, though not as commercially dominant, was holding its own with titles like X-Men vs Street Fighter, Sega Rally Championship, and Grandia. PC gaming was also exploding. Affordable hardware was making what was once a niche hobby more accessible, and many PC titles released that year wouldn't just become hits, they would evolve into some of the longest running franchises in history. Among them was a game unlike anything else at that time, a game where breaking the law was the whole point, with a top-down open world filled with crime, chaos, and consequence that would shape the direction of modern gaming. That game was Grand Theft Auto. My name is OneHip, and thanks for clicking on this video. I grew up playing the GTA series, but I never got the chance to experience the one that started it all, until now. In this retrospective, I'll be exploring its origins, gameplay, level design, audio, and legacy to find out if the original Grand Theft Auto is still worth playing today, or if it's simply an important relic in gaming history. This is Grand Theft Auto. Let's go! Grand Theft Auto was developed by DMA Design, a studio founded in Dundee, Scotland in 1988, and best known at the time for their hit puzzle game Lemmings. In 1994, DMA designer Mike Daly was experimenting with rendering 3D buildings from a top-down perspective. This evolved into a prototype, with a dinosaur destroying a city, before adding in vehicles to add more authenticity. Daly received a suggestion from a colleague to let players drive these vehicles, and the team would go on to develop Race and Chase, a top-down action game where the player, as a police officer, would pursue criminals in an open city. BMG Interactive, a UK-based publisher, greenlit the project along with 3 other games in a distribution deal with DMA. DMA's development team considered Race and Chase's format to be dull after early testing, so they made a bold decision that would change gaming forever, making the player the criminal being chased by law enforcement. This shift changed the identity of what would soon be known as Grand Theft Auto. In April 1997, DMA Design was purchased by Gremlin Interactive for £4.2 million while development continued. Grand Theft Auto was creating controversy from its marketing campaign, sparking outrage and numerous calls for bans due to its violent content, even going as far as these calls being made in the UK's House of Lords. DMA and BMG leaned into the controversy, using it as fuel for marketing. Grand Theft Auto was released on MS-DOS and Windows on November 28, 1997 in Europe and 24th of March 1998 in North America, followed shortly by a PlayStation release. A Game Boy Color version, developed by Tarantula Studios, was released in late 1999. A Sega Saturn version had been planned, but was scrapped due to the console's commercial decline. The European PC and console ports were published by BMG Interactive, while the North American PC version was published by ASC Games, after the North American division of BMG was dissolved prior to the game's release. Take-Two Interactive handled the North American PlayStation release, having acquired BMG Interactive and the Grand Theft Auto IP. Following this acquisition, 5 BMG executives, including brothers Dan and Sam Houser, left to form Rockstar Games. In 2002, DMA Design officially became Rockstar North, who would go on to develop future GTA titles. The game would receive mixed to positive reviews upon release, with the graphics being seen as below average, while praise was given to Grand Theft Auto's sound design, music, open world freedom, and emergent gameplay. The PC and PlayStation versions would go on to sell a combined 6 million units worldwide by March 2001, and it was in the top 20 UK charts for over 76 weeks, peaking at number 2 in May 1999, after the release of 2 expansion packs published by Rockstar Games. The Game Boy Color version was notable for remaining remarkably faithful to the original game, unlike most handheld ports of the time. The game was banned in Brazil due to the country's concerns on rising homicides and fatal auto accidents at the time. Despite its controversies, or perhaps because of them, Grand Theft Auto was soon recognized by multiple publications as one of the greatest and most influential video games ever created. For this retrospective, I played the PlayStation version using the DuckStation emulator. However, the PC release is widely regarded as the best way to experience the game today, offering sharper resolution and additional features missing from the console version. With the foundations laid, let's dive into the gameplay and visuals to see how it all came together. Grand Theft Auto takes place across 3 open-world cities, each divided into 2 chapters. Presented from a top-down perspective, almost like watching from a helicopter, the game gives players immediate freedom the moment they start. The PlayStation version allows you to choose from 4 male characters, which you can rename. Fun fact, the letter I in one hip looks a lot like a J, which I found hilarious. Though this choice doesn't affect gameplay. The PC version expands the roster to include female characters, making it the only game in the series to offer female protagonists until GTA 6 releases in 2026. There's also an options section in the main menu to adjust effect and music sound levels, text size, language, and if you want music to play constantly during your run or only through the car's radio. You can also view credits and adjust controls from the main menu. Movement operates on directional rotation via the left joystick, with acceleration mapped to X or A, and reverse to triangle or Y, depending on your controller setup. Square or X allows you to enter and exit vehicles, while circle or B is used to attack with fists or whatever weapon you're carrying. When driving, R1 or RB acts as the brake, while R2 or RT honks the horn. Hilariously, pressing the horn button while on foot causes your character to burp and fart. It serves no purpose, but adds to the game's irreverent tone. When the announcer shouts, "Grand Theft Auto," you're dropped into a city and free to explore or begin missions. Missions primarily come through payphones, and they're often multi-stage, with you doing things like stealing a car, eliminating a target, or delivering a vehicle to a garage, all while avoiding or outrunning the police. Some missions are timed, adding pressure, and the game leans heavily into its arcade roots. You have limited lives. Lose them all, and it's game over. Points earned through the game function as both progression and currency. To unlock the next chapter, you must reach a target score, often 1,000,000 points or more. And quitting mid-chapter saves your name and score, but you must restart your run from 0. Beyond story missions, you can earn points through side missions by entering abandoned vehicles, or by responding to messages on your in-game pager. Another way to generate points is by collecting cars and taking them to the nearest docks in the city. The type and the condition of the car will determine how much you earn. Committing crimes like destroying cars, running over NPCs, and causing chaos also rewards you with points, but with escalating risk. You can also find information markers giving you in-game tips and hints. Your default weapon is your fists, which only stun enemies for a few seconds. Better weapons such as pistols, machine guns, rocket launchers, and flamethrowers can be found by breaking open crates scattered around the city. You can also find extra lives, armor, police bribes, get out of jail free cards, and power-ups like extra speed. The game uses a one-hit kill system. A single bullet can take you out unless you're wearing armor. Explosions and fire negate armor entirely. Dying, or getting wasted as the game calls it, costs you a life and some points, and respawns you at a nearby hospital. The wanted system is represented by police faces at the top of the screen. With one face, police attempt to arrest you. Getting busted loses your weapons and mission points, and instantly respawns you to the nearest police station, with a rap sheet listing your crimes. With 2 to 3 faces, roadblocks come out and shoot to kill orders are enforced. 4 faces is maximum force. Officers will hunt you down aggressively with machine guns. Wanted levels can be cleared at respray shops for a fee. Bomb shops allow you to rig vehicles to explode in crowded areas for maximum destruction. You can probably see why this game was controversial when it was released. The vehicle roster is impressive for a 1997 release. Sedans, sports cars, 4x4s, taxis, garbage trucks, school buses, motorcycles, and emergency vehicles are all drivable. I was genuinely surprised to see vehicle damage affecting performance, a feature that many later games would refine. Eventually, cars will explode after taking enough damage. Despite its innovative mechanics, I did experience several gameplay frustrations. When driving on standard streets, cars often appear with little warning, leading to unavoidable crashes. Highways and bridges offer better visibility, but general driving often feels clumsy. Also, handling of vehicles. Slower vehicles were manageable, but some sports cars and all motorcycles were extremely difficult to control. Motorbikes in particular were almost useless. Slight contact with another vehicle or building ejects you, though thankfully you survive the fall. I also had a problem with combat range for certain weapons. Guns, especially pistols and machine guns, have disappointingly short range. I often had to run directly into enemy fire to hit targets, getting one-shotted frequently. A few mission scripting errors occurred during my playthrough, such as failing missions without cause, or missions not advancing after objectives were met. These were rare, but frustrating when they happened. Despite these shortcomings, the arcade-style score system and mission variety kept me engaged. The core gameplay is surprisingly deep for a title released in 1997. Upscaled to 4K via emulation, the game looks clean, but undeniably dated, looking closer to a late 16-bit or early 32-bit title in terms of visual fidelity. However, Grand Theft Auto's ambition is unmistakable. Despite the limitations of the camera and hardware, DMA successfully created a living, reactive world that feels busy, active, and at many times unpredictable. It may not impress by today's graphical standards, but in 1997, nothing else looked or felt like this. Thank you for still being here with me. If you wish to see more retrospectives like this one, as well as gaming video essays, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos. Anyway, on to GTA's level design. One of the most astonishing aspects of Grand Theft Auto is how immersive its world feels despite the limitations of a top-down perspective. Each city has its own distinct identity and atmosphere that goes far beyond simple visual representation. Liberty City, inspired by New York, delivers the feel of a cold and unforgiving metropolis. San Andreas, based on San Francisco in this game, features sweeping bridges and culturally rich districts like Chinatown. Vice City, modelled after Miami, contrasts sharply with its palm-lined streets and coastal setting. Each city is divided into named districts and sub-districts, such as Northeast Fort Law in Liberty City or South Telephone Hill in San Andreas. These aren't just titles on a map, they help each location feel grounded and lived in. Despite a repeated building structure and limited interactivity, the cities feel alive. Music pours from passing vehicles, audio spills from bars and clubs, and NPCs respond dynamically to your actions. Attack a gang member, and nearby adversaries will retaliate. Draw too much attention, and police will swarm you. Even in this earliest form, you can see Rockstar's future focus on creating living ecosystems, not just environments, which amazes me. That said, the level design has its flaws. There's no mini-map or coordinate system unless you enable a cheat. Instead, you're guided only by a directional arrow that points you toward your objective in a general sense. Early on, this often resulted in me driving off piers or straight into rivers. The game even warns you not to rely solely on the arrow, which is interesting, considering it's the only standard navigation tool. The top-down perspective presents challenges of its own. When you pass through tunnels, you or your vehicle disappear entirely, replaced only by a directional arrow. On multiple occasions, I found myself crashing into unseen vehicles when driving, eventually blowing up without realizing what I had collided with. While these issues aren't game-breaking, they do highlight how much the series would evolve in future entries. A simple mini-map would have greatly improved usability without compromising the free-roaming spirit that Grand Theft Auto was aiming for. Where the level design truly shines is in its use of sound, which enhances immersion at every moment. From NPC dialogue and honking cars, to club music and the chatter sound effect when on a payphone, sound is what transforms these maps from static environments into believable cities. One of the most universally praised aspects of Grand Theft Auto upon release was its sound design, and I absolutely agree with this. Even with limited storage capacity for audio, the developers crafted a soundtrack that wasn't just background noise, but an integral part of the game's identity. It set the foundation for what would eventually become one of the most defining features of the Grand Theft Auto franchise. The music roster is small, but impressively diverse. There are several radio stations in the game, including Head Radio for top 40 hits, NCT FM for hip-hop, and Brooklyn Underground 77.7 for techno. Unlike later games, you can't manually change the station, but the station changes automatically depending on what type of vehicle you're driving. It's a clever design choice in my opinion. Sports cars blast glam rock and new wave, pickup trucks switch to country and western, and motorcycles deliver house and drum and bass. This subtle but contextual audio adds a surprising amount of personality and immersion to each vehicle type. Ambient audio also plays a key role. Like I mentioned before, you'll hear music coming from bars and cars on the street, along with NPC reactions and environmental sounds that bring the city to life. This was groundbreaking for 1997. In a time when most games still used simple looping background tracks, Grand Theft Auto used sound to create a living world. Profanity is also present, of course, although notably toned down with certain words censored in cutscenes, a decision that would rapidly change as the series evolved into a more unapologetically mature franchise. Overall, the sound design doesn't just enhance the atmosphere, rather, it defines it. Even with dated visuals and some gameplay limitations, it's the audio that pulls you into the experience and keeps you there. And it's this atmosphere, combined with its ambitious vision, that cements Grand Theft Auto's legacy. Looking back at Grand Theft Auto, it's easy to focus on its limitations like primitive visuals, occasionally frustrating controls, and the trial and error nature of its mission design. But what stands out far more than any technical shortcoming is just how immersive and ahead of its time this game truly was. Grand Theft Auto didn't introduce open-world gameplay, but it defined a new genre. The freedom to explore and choose between order and chaos, to ignoring the rules and simply existing within a living city, was unprecedented at the time. This game handed you the keys, pointed towards a city full of opportunity, and basically said, do whatever you want.
Grand Theft Auto.
The cities themselves were surprisingly compelling. Each one had its own atmosphere and personality. And even from a top-down view, Liberty City, Vice City, and San Andreas felt like real places, locations that players would come to know intimately as the series evolved. The arcade-style scoring system, the reactive police, the radio stations tied to each vehicle, all of these mechanics laid the foundation for what would become one of the most successful and culturally influential franchises in entertainment history. I encountered a few shortcomings throughout my time with the game, like bugs, navigation issues, and a tight field of view when driving on roads and streets, but none of it detracted from the core experience. In fact, I found myself genuinely immersed, and often surprised by how much fun I was having. Despite its age, Grand Theft Auto still has that unmistakable, just one more try quality that kept me coming back to improve my score and push the chaos even further. This was the spark that ignited a revolution. Without it, there'd be no GTA 3, no Vice City, no San Andreas, and certainly no modern open-world sandbox as we know it today. What began as a simple experiment at DMA Design would go on to change the landscape of gaming forever. And this was only the beginning. Just 2 years later, the sequel would attempt to expand the formula in new directions. Some successful, some controversial, but all essential to the evolution of the franchise. Grand Theft Auto was the birth of a gaming empire. Thanks so much for watching. Did you play the original GTA? What are your memories of the game? Or did you start the franchise with another GTA title? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on upcoming content. And just so you know, I buy my own PC games from Fanatical. They offer officially licensed Steam keys, often with serious discounts. While GTA isn't available on the platform, there are deep discounts right now on the Saints Row franchise. Perfect if you're in the mood for some open world chaos. And if you're planning to grab your next game or bundle, consider using my affiliate link in the video's description. It won't cost you anything extra, and it directly supports the channel so I can keep making videos like this. Thanks for your support. Thank you also to my current channel members for supporting me further. There are links to this and my Ko-fi donation page in the video description if you wish to be part of the end credits for future videos. My name is OneHip, and you have a good one. Bye!